In a world obsessed with equality, most people still live like peasants. Not because they're weak, but because they've been trained to avoid power. From childhood, we are taught to seek approval, not authority. To play fair, not to play smart. To wait our turn, rather than claim a seat. We glorify meritocracy, but ignore the brutal truth of hierarchy. The truth is, being nice isn't enough. Being good isn't enough. Power doesn't reward the pure. It rewards the strategic. Everyone wants influence, wants their voice heard, their name respected, but few ever learn the rules of the game. Because power is a game, and most people, they don't even realize there's a table to sit at, let alone how to play. Instead, they stay busy, obedient, loyal, thinking that if they work hard enough, someone will notice. But no one's coming. In every empire, in every age, in every boardroom, the 1% rise not just through effort, but through calculated thought. The rest? They follow, even when they're smarter, more skilled, more deserving. That's the tragedy. Why do the same people lead while the masses obey? Why do the bold few rule while the many wait quietly for permission? It's not luck. It's not fate. It's mindset. And until you rewire how you think about power, you'll keep living like a peasant in a kingdom that you could have ruled. Machiavelli didn't write for peasants. He wrote for rulers. And that's why most people hate him. They call him cold, manipulative, even evil because he stripped power down to its raw mechanics. No fluff, no morality, just the brutal gears that turn history. While modern leadership books tell you to be empathetic, vulnerable, and endlessly transparent, Machiavelli warned rulers to be calculating, unpredictable, and above all, feared. His most infamous line says it clearly. It is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. Machiavelli wasn't advocating tyranny. He was revealing the reality behind control. He understood that leadership isn't about being liked. It's about being effective. Most people reject his philosophy because it offends their illusions. We've been raised on a diet of moral fables. Be good, follow the rules, and good things will come. Machiavelli exposed the uncomfortable truth. Rulership isn't earned, it's taken. Not with violence, but with vision. Not with noise, but with precise moves, like a chess master 5 steps ahead. And while centuries have passed, nothing has changed. The same laws of power apply today, in boardrooms, in politics, even in personal relationships. Only now, the game is hidden beneath moral slogans. Influence is wrapped in kindness. Control is rebranded as collaboration. But look closely, and you'll see the same tactics, the strategic silence, the cultivated mystique, the ruthless discipline of those who lead. The players have new costumes, but the playbook hasn't changed. Machiavelli didn't teach men how to become monsters. He taught them how to rule in a world full of them. And until you understand that, you'll keep mistaking virtue for victory, while others quietly take the throne. Modern society teaches performance, not power. From school presentations to social media posts, we're trained to be visible, expressive, and endlessly explain ourselves. We're taught that being likable is leadership and being relatable is influence. But what no one tells you is this: true power rarely performs. It watches, it waits, it calculates. Look at the workplace. Who rises fastest? Often, it's not the one working the hardest or talking the most. It's the one who speaks the least, but moves with intent. While others are busy over-explaining their ideas in meetings, trying to justify every step, the quiet strategist lets silence do the talking. They don't reveal their thoughts too soon. They ask precise questions, say just enough, and leave people guessing. In a world obsessed with openness, mystery becomes magnetic, and the magnetic rise. Then there's social media, a stage for self-exposure. People mistake transparency for truth, and confession for strength. They post every struggle, every meal, every opinion. But the more you share, the more predictable you become. The algorithm may reward visibility, but real-world power rewards restraint. The truly influential rarely explain themselves online. They let others debate their motives while they move in silence. In negotiation and leadership, the consequences are even more obvious. The leader who wants to be liked often dilutes their impact. They over-explain, over-apologize, and overcompensate. And in doing so, they become forgettable. Contrast that with the leader who sets clear boundaries, who isn't afraid to say no, who chooses words with surgical precision. They're remembered, admired, even feared in the right way. Not because they're cold, but because they're in control. We're living in an age of excessive empathy, where every disagreement must be softened, every command padded with pleasantries, every truth sugar-coated to avoid discomfort. But in trying to be everything for everyone, we become nothing to anyone. The obsession with being relatable weakens the very edge that power demands. Because power, by nature, is not equal. It doesn't explain. It doesn't beg to be understood. It acts. And until you stop performing for applause and start moving with purpose, you'll stay part of the audience, watching others own the stage you were born to command. Rulers think in centuries. Peasants think in weekends. That's not just about time. It's about mindset. The ruler asks, what am I building that lasts beyond me? The peasant asks, what's due this Friday? One thinks like a chess master. The other lives like a pawn. And while schools teach compliance and hustle, true power grows in three invisible ways. Through mindset shifts that peasants never even consider. The ruler delays. The peasant explodes. In a world that rewards speed, rulers choose timing. They don't react to every insult, every shift in the market, or every opinion online. They study the board, not the noise. They understand that the first response is rarely the most powerful one. So while the emotional reactor tweets in rage, defends their ego, or storms out of the room, the ruler pauses, recalibrates, and responds with precision. They ask, what move wins the war, not just this battle? You see this in business all the time. A company hits a PR storm. Employees panic. Middle managers flinch. But the leader? They remain silent, publicly. Behind closed doors, they gather data, reassess strategy, and emerge with a move that doesn't just fix the problem, it strengthens their position. Strategic silence isn't weakness, it's control. Emotional reactors burn out. They say too much. They reveal their position. But the strategic thinker doesn't fight battles they don't need to win, because they're playing a longer game, one where their moves shape not just days but decades. The ruler builds systems. The peasant carries bricks. The laborer works hard, shows up early, gets praise for effort. But they don't design the building. They don't control the blueprint. They are useful, but replaceable. The ruler, on the other hand, doesn't ask, what's my task? They ask, what system can I build so I never have to do this again? This is the divide between execution and ownership, between being part of the machine and building the machine. You can work 16-hour days and still remain a peasant, because your output feeds someone else's system. But if you build automation, delegate wisely, and create systems that function without you, you ascend. You become an architect of power. Consider two types of people. One learns a skill to do a job. The other learns how to hire 10 skilled people and create recurring revenue from their output. One gets tired. The other gets wealthy. One dreams of weekends. The other designs empires. Power isn't found in effort. It's found in leverage. And rulers never confuse movement with progress. The ruler moves in silence. The peasant shouts for attention. In today's world, people think visibility equals power. That if they talk louder, post more, appear on more stages, they're winning. But true influence doesn't scream. It whispers and still moves nations. Rulers know that the most powerful voice in the room is often the one that says nothing but shapes everything. Think of the political strategist who never runs for office, but scripts the speeches of those who do. Think of the investor who sits quietly in a boardroom while CEOs try to impress him because he owns the majority stake. Power doesn't always look like presence. It often looks like absence with control. The loud mouth needs recognition, needs to be seen, heard, applauded. But rulers don't need validation. They shape outcomes. They place their pawns, control the tempo, and watch the results unfold while others fight for spotlight. And ironically, the more invisible they are, the more untouchable they become. You'll never find a ruler arguing in the comment section. You'll never see them justifying their moves to the crowd. They know the need to be understood is the weakness of the insecure, and they have no time for insecurity. These three mindsets are not just different, they're worlds apart. The emotional reactor burns quickly. The strategic thinker endures. The laborer works harder. The architect works smarter. The loud mouth wants applause. The invisible hand shapes history. And here's the hard truth. You can't fake these mindsets. You have to become them. You have to unlearn the noise the world taught you and retrain yourself to think like a ruler, not just a performer. Because in every room, in every system, someone is making the rules. The only question is, are you following them or writing them? Power isn't just structural, it's psychological, and the ruler plays inside minds. Before a ruler lifts a finger, they've already won the first battle, inside the perceptions of others. They understand that control isn't always about domination. Often, it's about suggestion, about the way people feel around them. Because power is not what you say. It's what others believe you're capable of. Silence, for example, is not emptiness, it's strategy. It creates tension, forces others to fill the void, to guess, to assume. And assumption breeds power. The person who speaks least in a meeting, people lean in when they finally talk. Their restraint implies importance. Mystery isn't a lack of transparency. It's a calculated aura of significance. The more others know about you, the more they think they can predict or control you. The less they know, the more they fear what you might do next. Confidence, too, is not just volume or presence. It's posture. It's the way a ruler enters a room without rushing. The way they hold eye contact just a second longer. The way they pause before answering a question, because their words aren't rushed. They are chosen. Every action becomes a signal. Every silence becomes a test. While peasants seek validation, likes, applause, constant reassurance, rulers create standards. They don't ask, "Do you approve of me?" They declare, "This is how it's done." Their self-worth is not crowdsourced. It's constructed, carefully, privately, unshakably. And that's the real game. Most people try to win attention. Rulers win belief. They make people second-guess themselves, recalibrate their behavior, adapt to their presence. Not through dominance, but through gravitational pull. They don't chase influence. They become the center of it. So next time you're in a room, ask yourself, are you trying to impress, or are you shaping the atmosphere just by being there? One is noise. The other is power. Modern culture celebrates peasant virtues and punishes ruler instincts. We live in a world where obedience is mistaken for professionalism, where constant exposure is sold as authenticity, and where the highest goal is to be relatable. But none of these values lead to power. They lead to visibility, approval, and burnout, but not authority, not influence. We've been taught that to succeed, we must be endlessly available, share everything, be vulnerable, be soft. But rulers know better. They don't overshare. They don't explain. They don't play for sympathy. They hold the cards close and speak only when the move matters. Meanwhile, the modern worker posts their every achievement online, hoping for applause, but a ruler never claps for themselves. Take the idea of obedience. In many jobs, doing exactly what you're told, never questioning the process, and smiling through discomfort is praised as being a team player. But obedience doesn't lead to command. It leads to repetition, to invisibility. The system rewards those who comply, but only temporarily. The moment your compliance stops serving the agenda, you're discarded. Replaceable. Forgotten. Now, think about authenticity. We've confused raw exposure with truth. We think being real means telling the world everything about our fears, our flaws, our failures. But rulers understand. Authenticity without discretion is weakness. You don't need to hide who you are, but you must control what you reveal. If everyone can read your every emotion, they can predict and manipulate you. And then there's the humble brag, the modern peasant's cry for status. I'm so exhausted from helping so many clients. Didn't expect this award, but grateful. This isn't power. It's performance in disguise. A way to gain recognition while pretending not to seek it. Rulers don't humble brag. They don't need to. Their results speak in silence. Their presence does the work. The truth is, modern culture uplifts behaviors that appear noble but keep people powerless. It teaches people to be predictable, emotionally exposed, endlessly cooperative. But real advancement doesn't come from comfort. It comes from disruption, strategy, and risk. You don't rise by fitting in. You rise by redesigning the rules others obey. And until you stop chasing virtue signals and start thinking like a ruler, you'll stay stuck, praised perhaps, but never powerful. You don't need to be born into power. You just have to stop thinking like a peasant. Power isn't about your family name, your bank account, or your job title. It's about how you move, how you think, how you make others adjust to your presence without saying a word. And the best part? You can begin shifting into this mindset today. You don't need permission. You just need strategy. In work, start by speaking less and asking more powerful questions. In meetings, most people talk to impress. Rulers talk to reveal. Ask the one question that silences the room. Make people think. Don't fill space with explanations. Fill it with precision. Delay emotional responses. Don't reply to that frustrating email in 5 minutes. Wait an hour or a day. Let your silence unsettle. Then respond with a clear, composed message that makes your position undeniable. Control your tone, and you control the room. And above all, build systems, not just output. If you solve the same problem twice, you're working like a peasant. Create templates. Automate steps. Delegate tasks. Rulers don't chase tasks. They build machines that run without them. In negotiation, never reveal your full position. Let the other side speak first. Listen longer. Ask questions that expose their needs without showing yours. Power lies in what's unsaid. Control time and pace. Don't rush to agree. Don't rush to speak. People fear silence, but you should learn to use it. A well-placed pause after their offer can make them second-guess and improve it. Silence is your hidden sword, most powerful when they least expect it. In relationships, stop equating availability with love. Boundaries are a form of respect. Not everyone should have full access to your time, thoughts, or emotions. Say no without guilt. Protect your focus like it's gold, because it is. Lead with presence, not noise. You don't need to constantly check in to prove you care. Be fully present when you're there and fully gone when you're not. Absence creates value. And master the art of disappearing and reappearing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back, not out of anger, but strategy. Let your absence speak, then return when it matters most. And your presence will hit harder than any speech. In leadership, don't explain everything. You're not trying to be understood by everyone. You're setting a standard. If people trust your direction, they'll follow. If they need constant reassurance, they're not ready for your leadership. Use contrast. Be tough when the moment calls for it, but compassionate when the room needs air. Be distant enough to command respect, yet available enough to be trusted. It's not about being liked. It's about being clear. And finally, lead by example, not over-explanation. Show them what calm under pressure looks like. Show them how to own a room without raising your voice. Show them that true power doesn't need applause to stand tall. You don't need a crown to rule. You just need a shift in mindset. Stop trying to be visible. Start trying to be undeniable, because the world doesn't reward noise. It rewards clarity, discipline, and presence. And the moment you stop thinking like a peasant is the moment others start treating you like a ruler. In a world that teaches you to stay small and humble, the true rebels rise by embracing silence, strategy, and self-rule. From childhood, we're told to be kind, stay in line, wait our turn, to lower our voice, raise our hand, and never challenge the script. But that's not humility, it's conditioning. It creates followers who never realize they're following. It builds societies where obedience is praised louder than originality. And the result? A world full of smart, capable people who never touch power. Not because they couldn't, but because they never dared to think like rulers. The hard truth is this. Most people stay peasants by choice, not circumstance. Not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they fear discomfort. They fear silence, solitude, and stepping out of the crowd. It's easier to follow trends than to question them. Easier to work harder than to think sharper. Easier to be liked than to be respected. But you don't become a ruler by waiting. You become one by thinking like one, by sharpening your awareness, mastering your presence, and owning your decisions. Rulership isn't about domination. It's about direction. It's not about crushing others. It's about no longer letting yourself be crushed by your own hesitation. So choose wisely. Every day, you either reinforce your peasant mindset or dismantle it. Every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. And power? It won't announce itself. It won't arrive with a fanfare or title. It comes in subtle shifts in how you speak, how you move, how you think. Power doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you can't hear it, you were never meant to rule.